This is the QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studio on Karaba Avenue, and I am Lena Igwenyuba. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. At the orientation of the Gambia Bar Association's newly formed Human Rights Committee, the president of the Gambia Bar Association, Nene MC Cham, on Wednesday called on partners in the legal arena to help the Gambia reclaim her position as a respected champion of human rights. Suleiman Jain, a good Samaritan from Bara in the North region, has narrated how he saved lives after the victims consumed the drug Kush. CorpsAfrica Gambia, an international non-governmental organization, held its inaugural pitch day featuring 11 volunteers looking to attract funding to implement community-driven projects. The University of the Gambia and South Carolina State University signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Wednesday, marking a significant step towards academic collaboration and exchange. Tourism officials and stakeholders on Wednesday kick-started a two-day review of the in-depth draft report on demand and destination site evaluation and assessment of potential tourism sites. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. The president of the Gambia Bar Association, Nene MC Cham, on Wednesday called on partners in the legal arena to help the Gambia reclaim her position as a respected champion of human rights on the global stage by upholding democratic principles and the rule of law. She was speaking at the orientation of the Gambia Bar Association's newly formed Human Rights Committee. And Sumane Sonyasi was there, and he now reports.
The newly formed committee comprises seasoned legal practitioners who have long championed human rights advocacy in the Gambia, such as Emmanuel Daniel Juve, Chair of the National Human Rights Commission, and Mr. Gay Sow, Registrar of the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice. As she addressed committee members, Nene MC Cham, President of the Gambia Bar Association, implored the country's legal professionals to help restore the country's admirable history as a global champion of human rights and the rule of law. And while she acknowledged their efforts, she further invites them to join what she described as a national drive to ensure strong democratic institutions by upholding the rule of law.
There's great need for not only a protection of human rights, but before that, awareness of these rights, awareness of the laws, awareness of the rights, not just by our clients as lawyers, we have seen it, taken it upon ourselves, but the citizenry as a whole. We had seen where we were, prior to this dispensation, during the dictatorship, where all rights were trampled, particularly human rights, evidence of which we saw in the TRRC. So part of this never again slogan, fulfilling it, the GBA has seen and recognized the pivotal and leading role that we should and must and we have been playing in restoring democracy, in promoting human rights in this country.
Meanwhile, she also reflected on some past instances where the GBA demonstrated leadership and commitment to the rule of law, such as their vocal stance against former President Jammeh's attempts to subvert the will of the people following his election loss in December 2016. Abdoulaye Fati, Secretary General of the Gambia Bar Association, and Fatou Bintou Sala, Senior Program Officer at the American Bar Association's Banjul office, whose association partnered with the GBA, spoke on the impact this newly formed Human Rights Committee will have in enhancing human rights and strengthening the rule of law in the Gambia.
I would like to invite all of you, particularly our partners, American Bar Association. We would like to especially acknowledge your very strong partnership in supporting the Gambia Bar Association in its pursuit of delivering its core objective, which is to achieve respect for human rights and the rule of law in this country.
The Gambia Bar Association is evolving and enhancing its institutional capacity to play a more proactive role in defending human rights and the rule of law in the Gambia. We acknowledge and recognize the urgent need to raise awareness among the public about their rights and to ensure that our legal professionals serve with the utmost competence and care.
The Gambia Bar Association is one of the oldest professional bodies in the Gambia, consisting of lawyers enrolled as legal practitioners in the country. The establishment of a Human Rights Committee forms part of a major drive to facilitate access to justice and ensure a transparent legal environment in the Gambia in which the rule of law is upheld. Answane so Nyasi for KTV News.
Suleiman Jain, a good Samaritan from Barra in the North Bank region, has narrated how he saved lives, including a teenager, after they consumed the drug Kush. He was speaking to QTV's Julden Jai, and this is her report.
The drug Kush is a deadly drug that is taking its toll on young people in the Gambia, and the trend is worrying. Its apparent increase in popularity among young people is a red flag that demands urgent attention. The drug is also ravaging lives in the West African nations of Sierra Leone and Guinea. Suleiman Jain is unable to stop youths in his region from consuming Kush. However, he is determined to save the lives of those who use the drug and are in danger of choking to death. Mr. Jain explains how he helps to save lives.
The
first incident I came across was in a nightclub in Combo here. The boy was partying at the nightclub, where smoking is not allowed. So he sneaked into the toilet and smoked the Kush. When he came back, he sat down, and I went and sat beside him. I offered him a drink, but he did not move. I took a closer look at him and realized that his mouth was swollen. This is when I realized that he took Kush. I grabbed him by the throat, and he jumped, because some Kush users seemingly try to swallow their tongue, and I then put my hand in his mouth to pull out his tongue. We gave him water, and he gained a bit of consciousness, and he began to talk. So we took him to another room in the nightclub to recover, and later took him to the hospital.
Suleiman Jain further stated that before reaching the hospital, the Kush victim tried to swallow his tongue again. This time too, he came to his rescue. However, Jain's hand was badly bitten in the process. Kush abuse can cause users to fall asleep while walking or fall over, risking physical damage. In recent months, in the Gambia, there have been reports of deaths and others hospitalized after taking the drug. Mr. Jain also explained how he learned to save people in such situations.
I learned the technique at the nightclub. Someone used Kush and he wanted to swallow his tongue. I saw how he was helped. That was when I came to know how to help someone who is encountering a similar problem. Since then, I helped save the lives of 3 people.
In Yomi, where he lives, Jain says he knows of 5 Kush-related cases, including 2 deaths. To continue helping and sensitizing people about the dangers of using Kush, this is what Jain said he is planning to do.
I am thinking of setting up a foundation and help train people who are willing to help save lives. I will be more than happy to support.
Jain also has this advice for young people dealing with the drugs.
What I want to tell them is they should be careful and know the type of drugs they are taking, because these boys are very stubborn. I cannot imagine someone consuming a drug that you clearly know could kill them.
Tackling Kush requires concerted efforts from everyone, because if the situation continues, increasing numbers of young people will be affected, imposing a huge burden on Gambia's healthcare system. Suleiman Jain calls on the security forces to intensify their patrols in communities, including Yomi. Recent data from one hospital, the Kanifing General Hospital, has recorded 8 deaths and over 82 Kush-related cases between February and July this year. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
Now, CorpsAfrica Gambia, an international non-governmental organization, held its inaugural pitch day featuring 11 volunteers presenting their community-driven projects to potential donors and partners for funding. More in this report. The event comes after 7 months of integration and working in communities to identify in sectors of greatest need for the implementation of small-scale solutions to build resilience in the communities. The pitch day provides these 11 volunteers with the opportunity to showcase their projects, which addresses critical needs for community development. Fode Bojang, CorpsAfrica's country director, shared insights on the organization's mission.
CorpsAfrica tries to implement small, impactful projects. We don't implement big projects because we want the project to be sustainable in the sense that we allow the communities to contribute their quota in terms of implemented by countries, some cash and labor and the like. So that's why when we recruit people, we have a minimum standard of about, an undergraduate degree or a higher national diploma before you can come to join us. But when you go there, your qualification doesn't matter. It is your ability, your capacity to be able to listen to the community and help them transform their dreams into reality.
Among the projects pitched by volunteers were borehole for Tankula Women's Garden to address their inadequate water supply, and a community borehole project to improve access to clean drinking water in Dofan, and other projects in Quinala, Nyakoi Taibatu, Balanga, and Santanto Bubu. Here is Adam Abad, the chairperson of CorpsAfrica Gambia Board of Directors.
We are, as a board, we are very, very proud of the initiatives so far, mainly because, and of course as a board we also do monitor, and we are constantly being given report by the country director. It's our role to make sure that whatever is said here, whatever is written, we make sure that we give it the credibility it deserves by making sure that it happens. We want to influence policymakers to mainstream anti-poverty measures, to support or implement initiatives that favor community livelihood projects, thus creating an enabling environment for all these initiatives the volunteers pick today to thrive.
Ramatulai Damfa, a CorpsAfrica Gambia volunteer, whose borehole for Tankula Women Garden is fully funded by Mbolo Association, explains how her project came about and the impact it will have for Tankula women.
As a community volunteer, I take the time to work with the community to build a trust network between me and them. Whatever they are into, I am into it. The impact is to change their livelihood, to have a sustainable livelihood, to have more opportunities, and to be able to cultivate the whole vast of land that they are targeting. So it will create more employment opportunities, and they will also be able to send their kids to school.
At the event, Green Up Gambia pledged to donate 10,000 seedlings and to help with establishing a sustainable seedling nursery for the borehole renovation and tree planting project for Nyakoi Taibatu community and the fruit orchard for the Balanga Kirinderi community. Additional pledges amounting to $50,000 were made, while 5 projects are still seeking funding to create lasting community impact. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena Igwanyuba. From that story, we now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more local news and stories. Do stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to US Embassy Banjul's New American Corner. We are located in Fajara, next to the Tropic Garden Hotel. Our center offers enhanced services to the public at no cost. It features a computer-equipped lab for educational purposes, as well as a venue for hosting academic events, all available for free. The center is also home to the Embassy's podcast studio, providing a platform for our partners to engage in discussions on our shared interest. Visit our New American Corner today and embark on a journey of collaboration. US Embassy Banjul is here for the Gambian people.
Do your banking the smart way with the new Ajibank mobile app. Transfer money to any bank account in the Gambia. Top up airtime for all networks. Pay utility bills. Check your account balance and view mini statements. Request for ATM cards. Request for checkbooks and more in a single touch. So, do your banking in a smart way. Do your banking now with Ajibank mobile app. Every time is banking time. Ajibank, your investment partner.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. Now, the University of the Gambia and South Carolina State University signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Wednesday, marking a significant step towards academic collaboration and exchange. The MOU aims to facilitate joint research projects and sharing of academic resources between the two institutions. Alice has more.
The signing ceremony at the UTG's Canafin campus was attended by representatives of both universities. If effectively implemented, the MOU will enhance the educational experience for growth and development in various academic fields. Signing the MOU on behalf of the UTG, Professor Herbert Robinson, the university's vice-chancellor, said, as a young university, the partnership aligns with UTG's strategic goals of internationalization and improving the quality of education through global cooperation.
This country must feed itself. And the only way you feed yourself is to make sure that our School of Agriculture and Environmental Science is well equipped. And this morning we've exchanged, and it is very clear that there are huge capacity gaps, but there are opportunities as well. And this is why we are here signing this MOU, to begin to look at how we can put some of those ideas into actions. And the MOU will capture a broad range of areas, as I said. Apart from the exchange of staff and students, we'll be looking at agriculture extension. And I think we all recognize that the statistics in terms of extension workers to farmers, it's really not ideal for.
Colonel Alexander Conyas, the 13th president of South Carolina State University, who is leading the delegation from the United States, explains why his university is the right partner for the UTG.
South Carolina State University is probably the absolutely best one. We are a historically black college university in South Carolina. We were founded more than 125 years ago in 1896, specifically with the mission of agriculture for African American students. So we know this business well, and we look forward to sharing what we have learned over the past 100 years of educating and elevating African American students so that they can empower their families and their communities, sharing that with you. We certainly understand your appeal for the farm. We know how important that is. We do have a demonstration farm as part of our university. We know that to succeed in agriculture, that the farm is just as important as a lab is to a science major. So if you don't have a working farm, it would be detrimental just as a science major, a science program, not having a lab. So we will certainly follow up with you in that aspect.
Both parties are now looking forward to an impactful journey that will benefit students and faculty of both universities. The signing ceremony culminated in a presentation on research possibilities in the age of artificial intelligence, particularly the potential of AI in agriculture. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Sise.
Officials from the Tourism Diversification and Resilience Project and tourism stakeholders on Wednesday kick-started a two-day review on the in-depth draft report on demand and destination site evaluation and assessment of potential tourism sites. Loliam Kamara was there and filed this report.
The report, which was commissioned by the government to evaluate the demand and potential of various destinations around the country, was presented by officials from the Project Implementation Unit of the Tourism Diversification and Resilience in the Gambia project under the Ministry of Tourism and Culture. Stakeholders discussed the report's findings and highlighted key areas of potential growth and development for the country's tourism industry. This document is the third and final output of that consultancy study and provides the details of proposed recommendations to broaden and strengthen the country's tourism offer to domestic, regional and international tourists. The consultant was assigned to evaluate and prioritize a long list of more than 60 potential tourist sites across the country, develop proposals for the planning, development and upgrading of a short list of 10 sites, and provide an implementation framework for these proposals. Here are James B. Mendy, the Monitoring and Evaluation Specialist of the TDR project, and Lamin Saho, the Tourism Technical Advisor of the Gambia Tourism Board, respectively, on next steps.
After today's session and tomorrow, the comments will be consolidated and shared with the consultants for incorporation into the final report. And we will not stop there. We will receive the final report from the consultants, and a further review would be done to establish whether the comments have been satisfactorily addressed. And this will be followed by a dissemination exercise or engagement so that the report will be made known to the public.
Because tourism, as you know now, is very, very complex. Competition is very intense. Tourists now travel not to do sightseeing, but to experience something different. So that is why in developing these 10 sites, we are trying to enhance visitor experience so that when visitors come to the Gambia, they find all the things that they need in terms of culture tourism, heritage tourism, ecotourism, religious tourism, environmental tourism, you name it.
Kodu Jaban Senghor, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Tourism, says the assessment of tourism sites is one of the deliverables of the project under Component 2, which is infrastructure support for the diversification and resilience of the tourism sector.
In order to get a final quality report, the proposals of the consultants must be scrutinized by you, the stakeholders. The ideas must be analyzed, and all ideas put forward that can even improve the shortlisted 10 sites transformation into a top attraction or attractions.
At the end of the two-day meeting, it is hoped to gain valuable insights and recommendations for the government and the tourism industry for the growth and success of a sector which in 2022 directly employed 42,000 people and contributed 20% to the Gambia's GDP. QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
1,000 bicycles were donated on Wednesday to schools through the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education MAPSI by Child Fund Gambia. The bicycles will improve children's access to school. Momodu Gajaga attended the handing over ceremony, and he now reports.
The 1,000 bicycles were handed at a ceremony held at Child Fund Gambia's country office in Kanifing. The donation is part of Child Fund Gambia's Zero Out of School Children project, which aims to enroll 66,000 children who are currently not going to school back in school. The 3-year project is at the implementation stage and provides vulnerable children with bicycles to ease mobility and prevent them trekking long distances to school. Mfamara Dabo, Director of Programs and Sponsorship at Child Fund Gambia, talks about supporting children to ease their transportation challenges.
Child Fund, as a partner to this project, committed to 3,000 bicycles towards the project. Because from experience and from our partners, we learned that thousands of children are out of school because they lack transport. They lack transport means to travel to and from schools. And we believe that bicycles will ease that barrier, hence will contribute to the enrollment goal.
Nuha Jata, an education specialist at UNICEF, and Keba Omar Jajusi, the National Coordinator with Education for All Campaign Network de Gambia, EFANET, a Gambia-based NGO, both highlighted the significance of these bicycles.
What we need to mention from my side is the care and the safety. The users of the bicycles should also be caring so that the bicycles last long and can move from one student generation to the next, because there is already a maintenance regime that is going to support the bicycles. Beyond the care of the bicycles, the safety of the riders is also very important.
But the move that you have taken actually is contributing towards ensuring that every child in this Gambia have access to education. But not only access to education, but also that the education that is been accessible is of quality, that is inclusive, accessible, quality education for all, as stated in the SDG 4.
The Zero Out of School Children project, which includes easing mobility for children, will be implemented by MOPSI, who will distribute the bicycles to schools across the country. Paul K. Mendy is a representative from MOPSI.
I think I appreciate the role of Child Fund in providing movement to facilitate children to go to school. By doing that, you are not only providing access, you are also contributing to quality. When a child reports school on time, without even sweating, riding on his or her bicycle, then he will prepare to receive lessons from teachers. Research have shown that distance affects quality education and affects students' understanding. Fancy you traveling 5 kilometers to where the school is?
Hundreds of students, especially those in rural Gambia, have no school buses and therefore trek to get to school. It is hoped that these 1,000 bicycles will help entice children to get back to school, as they will no longer have to worry about walking long distances. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we end, here's a recap of the headlines. At the orientation of the Gambia Bar Association's newly formed Human Rights Committee, the president of the Gambia Bar Association, Nene MC Cham, on Wednesday called on partners in the legal arena to help the Gambia reclaim her position as a respected champion of human rights. Suleiman Jain, a good Samaritan from Bara in the North Bank region, has narrated how he saved lives after the victims consumed the drug Kush. CorpsAfrica Gambia, an international non-governmental organization, held its inaugural pitch day featuring 11 volunteers looking for funding for the implementation of community-driven projects. The University of the Gambia and South Carolina State University signed a memorandum of understanding on Wednesday, marking a significant step towards academic collaboration and exchange. Tourism officials and stakeholders on Wednesday kick-started a two-day review of the in-depth draft report on demand and destination site evaluation and assessment of potential tourism sites. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for joining.